Okay, so obviously you read the title, so you're gonna come up in here and be like, "Here's exactly what you need to do to get more subscribers." First of all, let me stop you right there, pal. Okay, I am losing subscribers, but I'm not really that upset about it. If there's one thing I've learned from like being from doing content creation and like just interacting with people is that there's some people out there who's initially just not gonna like you. You could do everything in the book. There's just some people who's just not gonna like you. Let me go ahead and tell you a little story about Randy Orton. Okay, um, I was watching professional wrestling back in like 2003. Earliest wrestling, the earliest thing I remember about professional wrestling the was Randy Orton interrupting somebody's promo to just be like, "Hey guys, I'm just not. Hey guys, it's Randy Orton. I got a busted shoulder, but once my shoulder gets back in action, I'm going to be back out there." So obviously, you could tell that he was going to be a heel. And I remember, and younger me in 2003, I'm watching this stuff, and I just remember just thinking to myself, I immediately do not like this guy. And it wasn't just because of the fact that I knew he was going to be a heel. I mean, look at the way that he actually did the promo. The way that he actually did the promo, you could tell, oh, he's going to be a heel. But it was just because of the fact that I didn't like his nose. I think I mentioned this. I mentioned this before in one of my lives where I was not a big fan of his nose, and because I don't like his nose, I just couldn't really get. I couldn't really get into Randy Orton. Randy Orton, very talented wrestler, very awesome, very talented wrestler, awesome gimmick. Has had a spectacular career in the years that he's been doing this, and I will never be a fan of his because of his nose. I don't hate the guy. I don't think anything. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. I'm just not a fan of his because of his nose. And I'm bringing that up to bring up the fact that if there's one thing that bring that up because of the fact that if I can acknowledge that I don't like somebody because of something superficial like a nose, and that could like make me just sort of like always have a bit of a scruple about somebody. I like to think that everybody essentially has this kind of way that they approach certain things. And because of that, I'm aware that I'll probably never become famous because there's going to be people who's going to look at my content or just look at me and immediately go, I don't like the way that he looks. I don't want to support him. It's just that simple. Now, granted, I do have other things about me that will probably turn people off, such as, I really, really, really love I really love the idea of sort of making fun of, if not just outright targeting white supremacists and right wingers because I don't like those people. You know what I'm saying? But I'm also aware that I'm a black dude that's online, and with the internet becoming more and more right wing nowadays, there's a great chance that I'm probably not going to be successful. It's like, of course, I mean, like, I don't like bigotry. I don't like hurting people for no reason. I don't like the idea of people being mistreated because of how they look in comparison to who they are and what they actually do. And I know that like the environment is starting to slowly rise again. It's like starting to become more of that. Like 4chan is down, so now I made a joke about how the people in 4chan have now just completely invaded the entire internet. So yeah, because that's the case, I'm not expecting any fame. I'm not expecting any success. I'm just doing this because I like doing this, and I always go back to that because of the fact that I'm aware that I'm a small creator in a humongous pond full of people who is like, well, the only reason why you should be making content is so that you can become super successful. If you don't want to become successful, then don't make content, which is the stupidest way to approach this sort of thing because, like, my whole thing is that as long as my thing is speaking for me is that like I feel like I got a lot to say, and I have a lot to say. Look, like take a look at like all of my videos, man. I got a lot to say, but obviously there is a message that I do want to kind of like throw out there for people to listen to. You know what I'm saying? And if people don't want to listen to it, no big deal. But my whole thing is that like I'm not seeking success. I know that I know I'm probably not gonna get that much money doing this. I mean, yeah, I got 2,000 subscribers, but in order for me to make money, my videos have to make over $100 before the month is over. And let's face it, this is it. This is the content. It's just me, camera, yap. But yeah. But like my whole thing is that like like I said, obviously I don't do edits. My computer can't handle the software, and it's like I take it takes me a little bit of time to do edits, but like it takes even more time because the computer can't handle it. I can't really, like, so this is it. I don't really like doing live streams outside because I don't like the idea of people knowing specifically where I live, you know what I'm saying? But also, like, I'm a boring guy. Like, I'm just gonna go out. Like, if I go out and I do grocery shopping, right? I'm just gonna go out, do grocery shopping, and then come back. I'm not gonna go in there and just scream to the top of my lungs, make a huge mess, and have harass people who work there. You know what I'm saying? Because that's something that people want to see. I paid attention to what people like to see on, like, when it comes to content, and it's almost like when it comes to black content creators specifically, it's almost kind of like always in the same ballpark. It's usually like, is either screaming the N word, screaming in general, becoming a public nuisance. And I'm not saying this to say that there's black streamers out there. I'm not saying this to say that there's black content creators that get successful from not doing that. I'm just saying it's just a sheer fact that, like, there's people who do, and it's like, it's like, well, you gotta be funny. You gotta be funny, which is like the most annoying thing, because it's like the only, like, people nowadays are much more into Schadenfreude. They like the idea of laughing at other people, laughing at bad things happening to people. They like the idea of, like, they want to, like, one thing I've seen, like, there was a guy who went live and the chat would tell him to just do some of the most unhinged things that he would just do it. You know what I'm saying? Like he will probably, for example, he'll probably like be in the library or something, and they'll be like, just go into a library and just scream. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? You know what I mean? It's like, it's for content. It's for content. It's like, no. I don't know if that video is still on, but I just remember seeing that, and I just kind of messed me up a little bit, or at least it just annoyed me a little bit, because it's like, why? In any case, but it's like, my whole thing is that, like, I've seen what people like. I've seen what people like. I've been on YouTube for almost 20 years, and in the process, I've actually seen the type of stuff that gets successful. And most of the time, it's usually videos like this, where it's just somebody sitting in front of the camera and talking, and a whole bunch of people will, like, every so often there'll just be edits. You know what I'm saying? I also know that, like, I'm guilty of, like, not doing edits, but I also know that, like, from way back in the day till today, a lot of racist content will come up. There will be racist content, there will be sexist content, bigoted content, dudes making jokes about doing things to children and stuff like that. It was just like, the content will always be like, it was always this, I don't even want to say edgy, because edgy doesn't do the word justice. It would just be gross and weird, and gross stuff, weird stuff, bigoted stuff. And that was the stuff that would get, like, that would go viral, because people are like, it's funny because it's not happening to me. But the fact of the matter is, it's just like, this video is basically a longer explanation of one of my shorts, where I'm talking, one of my shorts. I'm gonna probably reference it in my description. But also is an even longer explanation of that Rick and Morty meme, where the guy says, "Your boos don't hurt me. I've seen what makes you cheer." You know what I'm saying? But in this case, yeah, people unsubscribing, they're basically just saying, "Oh wow, he's black, he's online, and he's black, he's online, but also he doesn't scream the N-word. He's just boring. He's not funny. He's not doing anything." I don't care if you think I'm boring. I don't care if you think I'm not funny. If people do unsubscribe, I'm not really that worried about it. I'm just like, I have a message that I want to provide. I have a message that I want to kind of, like, just want to display to people, and that message is simply, racism, like, bigotry is bad. Be nice to each other. Simple as that, right? You know what I'm saying? Racism is bad. Be nice to each other. Just that simple. But like, I do know that upsets some people. I also am aware that there's some people out there who's just gonna be angry about me in general. Like I say, looking back, it's like, if you can see you probably just don't like how my face looks, and that's fine too. I ain't stressing. But one thing I don't want to do is, like, I'm willing to accept that I'm not going to be famous on YouTube, then compromise who I am for the sake of views and content. Like, I'm not gonna get on here and just scream to the top of my lungs. I mean, I live in an apartment, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be a disturbance out here. But it's like, but I'm not gonna scream at the top of my lungs or be ridiculous or do the or just like do because like some people is gonna be like, do something that makes me laugh because do something that would make me laugh at you because you're black and I think that you're supposed to be funny. It's like Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down, broke his crown. Jill came tumbling after, which is a really, really, really kind of gruesome nursery rhyme when you think about it. But the fact of the matter is that like I do have funny content on here. I do have like stupid, edgy. I did attempt to be edgy back in the day. It's just you have to dig through my stuff in order to do it. I'm organizing my playlist now in order to try to get that stuff on there. So it's like if you want to see me try to be funny, I do have it on there. I do have me. I have stuff about me being edgy, stuff about me being funny. I do have all of these things. I have stuff that will probably get me canceled in my older videos somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And but the fact of the matter is that like you have to look for them. I mean, like the edginess is yours for the taking. All you have to do is find it first. I left it all in my older videos. Nice little One Piece reference there. But in any case, though, like I for those that are still subscribed and those that are still like on, I do appreciate it a little bit because, I do appreciate it. It's just I'm working on trying to do better content, but the fact of the matter is that like better content to me is not going to be the better content to everybody else. So I'm not going to say, oh guys, I'm working on some amazing stuff. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait for y'all to like check it out. Say no. It's like, you get what you get. If you like it, stick around. I got more coming. If you don't, I understand that too. But that's about it. Love and peace. Y'all be cool out there.